Welcome back, everyone. As promised, we are reviewing the Hatfield
And McCoy.
and McCoy
I'm Rich.
bourbon and whiskey.
Huh.
Jason.
And okay. First off, I forgot to do the like and subscribe at the beginning of the last episode. So, guys, right here, like and subscribe. Give us some love. We love everything that you, our audience, and what do you call it, fan base, community, our community. We love you guys. Thank you for everything.
Mega fans.
Yeah.
Mega fans.
So, Hatfields and McCoy.
Mm-hmm. This is actually just the Hatfield.
Yeah.
There's no McCoy in this part. This is just solely the Hatfield family.
Now, you went to this brewery, and we talked about it a little bit last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And where is it? Why? Like, it's... I didn't do the research on
right.
the bourbon.
So it's just on the West Virginia side, just outside of Ohio. I think it's not too far from Ravenwood or Ripley, West Virginia. I would say are the two biggest towns close to the area.
I do like that it's on the West Virginia side because that's where the Hatfields were from.
Yes. Yep.
So that was pretty cool.
Yep.
And the bourbon itself is called the Devil Anse, which is William Anderson's nickname.
The matriarch
of the Hatfields.
Yes.
And I like that they named this, but the label itself has this kind of like 1980s horror movie / Western feel to it. And you sent us the pictures of you pouring it from the barrels. But I like that they took it and sealed it for you. That was cool.
They did. So great place. There's a whole lot of history to this Hatfield McCoy. And not only is there history, but there's folklore.
Yeah, a lot.
I believe nobody truly knows the exact cause or what put these two families into turmoil.
I did, we both kind of researched this one because it's kind of fascinating.
Right.
And it is a twisted story.
Right.
But do you feel like when the Hatfields and McCoys were in the Civil War, most of them were for the South, except for the one cousin that was in the Union. And that's kind of where they kind of kicked off the story, was killing him.
Yeah, I believe he was stabbed like 17 times and then shot in the back, if I remember right.
No, that was another one.
That was another one?
Another one.
Yeah, there were just so many things. I mean, I think it's everything from Civil War to land disputes, logging rights.
A hog.
I believe the McCoys had accused the Hatfields of stealing as a prize hog.
A hog, because apparently they had cuts in the ear, and I guess that's what marked the family hog.
Right.
But how twisted the story gets is every time they arrest somebody on either side, it's on the other sides, and so they were at the Hatfields court or the McCoys court. And why, if we bring this hog thing to the Hatfields, why wouldn't I, being as the judge, favor? And there was a Bill Stanton who testified. He was shot a couple of days later by the McCoys.
Yeah. I mean, just so much folklore and so much unknown. Well, I mean, 1863, 1865, I don't think the records were real good back then, that people in the Appalachians were recording, hey, this happened on this date because so-and-so did this. But the folklore of it is, and that's another thing, is I think what exacerbated this feud was the industrialization of the country at the time, and the industrialization of the Appalachia, of the mountain folk.
We were starting to transverse our country with railroads at the time, and like the Hatfields, they were more prestigious. They had the logging, right?
Yeah, the logging,
and the McCoys had like just farmland.
Yes,
but they were both bootleggers.
Yes,
which One of them arrested them
Right.
for bootlegging and used that as an excuse to
Mhm.
arrest him.
Yeah.
And I think he got shot.
Yeah. I feel like the country at the time, as we were coming into who we were, newspapers, I'm gonna say, had a good hand in helping sensationalize
Yeah.
this feud,
Mm-hmm.
which is sad. I think that's horrible. I really do. This could have been something that, had it not been known, nationwide and turned into folklore, that these two families may have just set aside their differences and just went on. But I kind of feel, as we're reading in this, that society egged this on.
But that's still, we still do that.
We still
We
do
still do
that.
that.
We still do that.
We do news for ratings,
Right.
not for saying the news anymore.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, it's amazing that, if you haven't read or, you know uh, watched any movies, I believe there's all kinds of movies based on this feud. I encourage everybody to see what it is,
Yeah.
to look out and see it. It's a piece of Americana.
Yeah. Instead of going to that touristy dinner show where it's supposed to
I
be fun.
seen that. I seen that.
And I kind of want to see it.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see it.
Yep.
So I feel, with my research,
Mhm.
that the first thing that happened was Asa Harmon. It was Randolph's McCoy's nephew or cousin. He was a Union soldier. And when he was coming back, so it was the Logan Wildcats that shot him. And I think that's what kicked it off.
Yeah, there's that. There's also, one of our other producers was going on about how she thought there was a woman reason behind all this. Did you see this part?
Yes, Roseanne. This is a very Shakespearean Romeo and Juliet / Helena Troy screwed up situation. So Roseanne McCoy fell in love with John Hatfield, and she stayed with them. Something happened, I can't remember, and she came back, but they tried to continue their affair, and the McCoys captured him, and she went off midnight and told the Hatfields, and they started the search party, or just to go rescue him, and they released him. But in the end, Johns left pregnant Roseanne to marry her cousin Nancy.
Keep it in the family, right?
Yes. I'm reading this, and it was so like, what was that one live show where those people would go up on stage and air out their dirty laundry? What was that guy's name?
Oh, the Jerry
Jerry
Springer.
Show. Jerry Springer. That's
I love that. I love that show because I was happy that there was people out there with worse problems than me.
Yeah.
So I like to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what cigars did you pick out this week? These are pretty good.
Yeah, we got a new brand. It's Diesel. They're kind of a newish company, 2009. But what I liked about them is I'm doing the sherry barrel and you're doing the bourbon barrel.
Yes.
And what they did was partner with this rabbit hole distillery, and they cured all the leaves in those barrels. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I thought it went with the moonshining and our rustic bourbon here. What do you feel about it?
I like it. It is strong. I believe that's 125 barrel proof.
Yeah.
It is definitely strong.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like the ice cubes were trying to jump out of the glass when I poured that in there.
I was actually expecting that cartoon when I put the ice cube in to like a skull and bones smoke come up and then it fades off.
Yeah. But all in all, no, I think it's a good brand. It's got good hearty taste.
It's got like a cinnamon-ish to it, like a fireball bit to it. But good choice. It's good. It's a good bottle in your collection.
Yes. Yep.
If you want to like mess with somebody coming over to your house, give them that.
Mm-hmm. And the collection's growing.
I know. We were there this weekend.
It's growing quite well.
I think that would be good with the smoke show.
That would be good with it.
Little maple in that?
Yep.
Yep. The third big event was Ellison. I think it was Anse's. Okay, so William Anderson, Devil Anse, was the patriarch of the Hatfields, which we already covered. And then we've got Randolph McCoy, he was the patriarch of the McCoys. So Anse's brother, Ellison. And I love these old country names. Asa, Ellison, there's Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love them. All right, so 3 of the McCoys just took Ellison after coming out of a bar or something, drunk. They beat him, stabbed him 26 times, and then shot him. Now, the 3 McCoys were arrested, and they were getting transported, and Devil Anse intercepted them, tied them to pawpaw bushes, which I don't know what that is. You know what a pawpaw bush is?
I do not.
In turn, shot him a total of 50 times. This is such a twisted tale. It's like this tit for tat, eye for an eye. The more I kept reading, the more I kept wanting to dig deeper.
Yeah, I mean, back then, family was everything.
Yeah.
You know, you don't mess with family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then I feel like it's good that we lost that, you know, urge to, you know, defend, you know, an eye for an eye.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, at the same time, I feel like families need to stick together a little bit more. You know? There's a real fine line there, for sure. But I did see, though, did you see that they signed a truce?
I did not.
In 2003, the families got together and signed a truce.
Were they even still feuding at the time?
I'm gonna say there was probably still maybe, you know, some second, third generation hate still maybe.
I wonder if because now it's modern times, they license themselves to make a lot of money off of this story. Yeah, but I mean, they were already an affluent family,
moonshiners,
and but the McCoys, they were farmers, and they probably made so much money just on licensing books and shows.
There is, when you read up on this, there is actually a couple historians that, you know, say that the Hatfields, not that there is really any winners in this story, but that the Hatfields actually came out on top.
Well, it was 12 deaths to 28 deaths total, but there was a lot of more that went to prison, and I didn't catch those numbers.
Yeah. Such folklore.
Yeah. You know? Well, yeah. It is like, it is such a part of our history for America.
100 some plus years later.
Yeah.
We're still talking about it.
28-year feud.
Yep.
Right. My advice is, you guys are repeating that it's folklore and it's I think you guys should punch it up a little bit and pick a side, or say, well, you don't have to pick a side, but be like, well, who started it and whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or say something like, can you imagine being born into a family and all of a sudden you already have beef with somebody else? Like, vary it up a little bit, because we got that it's historic. We got it.
Can we flip the boards?
Valentine, Uncle Wall, Hatfield. Of those sent to prison, Valentine, Dr. Van
Three
Hoff.
Bros. Okay, 50 shots. Oh yeah, the New Year's Eve massacre. If you were to pick a side, who started it? Who do you think?
I'm going to say that the Hatfields probably started
I
it.
think so too. I believe so too. I wish I did a little more research to see who was more in the wrong, but I believe the McCoys were a lot more in the wrong. But then there's the New Year's Eve massacre, where Anse brought his posse and gunned down the McCoy house, killed his daughter.
Yeah. I feel like maybe the Hatfields did start it. The McCoys, I mean, hate to say back then that they were probably more the simple folk, just trying to survive, and they probably just maybe got pushed too far.
Yeah.
And back then, you push somebody too far back then, you're gonna get a black eye and a bloody nose.
Especially in the South and the hollers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do feel like this New Year's Eve massacre is a very one of the first mob hits in America. Like they gunned them down, Godfather style.
Yeah. And we still do that, drive-bys.
Yeah.
In the hood, and I mean, so yeah, it was one of the very first ones. Even though it's been 100 and some years later, we're still doing the same stuff.
And I do like it was like those the 2-shot rifles, were they Remingtons or
probably
Winchester?
Probably Winchester. Yeah.
Which brings us all to that house.
Yeah.
I wonder if the ghosts of the Hatfields and McCoy are haunting that house as much as the Indians are.
That would be something. I would like to go see the area. I believe there's actually a trail that takes you through West Virginia, Kentucky. You kind of can go along that trail.
That's cool.
And hike that.
I'm sure all the estates now have signs and stuff for tourists just to go through and ooh, this is the thing. Like the OK Corral.
Yes. Yeah.
Where they actually have mannequins set up for that, so tourists could take pictures.
Now that we know the Hatfields, have the bourbon and whiskey and stuff, I feel like I need to go and do some research on the McCoys and see what they have.
I bet they.
I feel like we owe them, the justice of, if they have a bourbon whiskey, of trying it as well and giving it its due.
Yeah. We'll have to try that.
Right.
And we'll have a McCoy night.
Yeah. Yep. And speaking on the supernatural side,
bringing us back in from last episode,
bringing it back from the last, but are people still saying they can still hear gunshots and see the ghosts and everything? Or are they still rooting through the holler and stuff they're fighting?
Yeah, I wonder if we have no accounts, we don't know. There's no accounts of the supernatural McCoys and Hatfields still ghost feuding.
Right. But there's definitely probably somebody out there that says that they've seen something, going through the woods or finding something.
Imagine finding one of the shell casings in that area from that time.
Yep.
How much that would be worth.
And thinking it probably went through somebody or, was shot at somebody.
Yeah.
For sure. So, yeah.
If you guys could hear it, there's somebody down the street working on their house with a saw. So we're sorry about the background noise.
I was thinking it was hedge trimmers.
No, it's a leaf blower.
Oh, leaf blower. I need one of those.
That is one of the best things.
So I can blow all my leaves
into the neighbor's yard.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, I really like the cigars you got.
I do too. I'm gonna try this one again when we go back to
the Monte Cristo.
I want to try the one you got. This has got a kind of a sassy, sweet flavor to it, if that makes sense. If our 50-year-old brains have messed up anything and we're getting our facts wrong, guys, please give us a comment. We'll look it up and thank you for the comment or the correction. And still, again, we need an episode of all the corrections that
And if they have information that we missed or tell us who you think started the feud, or what were the other issues that hey, I think it was the Hatfields. I think it was the
McCoy,
McCoys because of this reason. Chime in, let us know.
And both of them didn't die during those feuds. Um, Randolph died because he fell into a cooking fire, and he got complications from that, and he died in 1914 at the age of 88. And Devil Anse died of pneumonia in his house in 1921 at the age of 81. Wow. So they did survive all the gunshots and all the intrigue. And, well, I mean, Randolph didn't really.
Yeah.
I mean, he just fell into a fire.
Yeah.
But died on their own accord, pretty much.
Yeah. And a lot of times that's how it goes.
Yeah.
The ones that should be the ones that shut the feud or the problems down, they usually end up being the ones that live the longest.
Just like in the Godfather, when they have the sit down to end the feud.
End the feud.
Yep. And guys, we've been doing a lot of lives on TikTok, so please subscribe to our TikTok. I'll put the link below and set up your notifications. And so when we go live, it'll ping up on your phone. Trust me, it's a hoot.
It is a blast.
It is a blast.
Yep. And then it turns into it goes from a hoot to a blast to hoot nanny.
To hoot nanny.
Yes. Yep. And if you're not familiar with what a hoot nanny is, go to West Virginia, get you some Devil's Ants, and I promise you will find out what a hoot nanny is.
Go to a hoedown.
Yes.
Good night, everybody, and may your feuds not end in gunfire.
Good night.